Well, here we are the next morning, still kind of chilly, and yeah, so it was clamped. Now, I probably won't get to work on this thing as much today as I'd like, but I do need the clamps. I do have a lot of other projects I got to get on, so we're going to take it off the clamps, just show you guys how that all worked out. Okay, so obviously I'm going to be trimming down to size, and then once we get the neck itself, get the playing portion of it all shaped out. As you can see, we've got a bit more wood to trim away, and that will be fun. And then we'll get it all ready. So now at this point, that's the next step. So we'll be trimming that away, and then I like to just treat this like this is the instrument, this is the base. So I'm going to get from this point, we're going to get the shaping going, and then we'll get the radiusing going, fret markers, etc. Get the frets in, and just as if this was, you know, ready to go as a guitar, we're going to get the headstock shaped, get the tuners all lined up, everything on. I always forget to pull these out. I do this so that I can pull those out right before I clamp, and I forget. But I digress. So anyway, so we're going to get that going, and before we do the body parts. So we're going to make this essentially a playable instrument, other than, you know, the bridge, but we're going to line all that up, figure out where the bridge is going to go, get the slot going for the ground. I mean, and we're going to do it ×2. Okay, before we get carried away here, I was just about ready to route it. I've got my router bit all ready to go, about ready to plug this thing in. The one thing I don't want to do is cut too far, too deep in the wrong spot, because we know some of this is going to overlap the body. So at this point, this is where I really want to make sure I know where I'm coming to, because I want body parts right here. So the last thing I want to do is cut these all down so that they're smaller than this here, because we want to put nice glued blocks. We want something nice and squared to glue to. So yeah, so the way I'm going to approach this is just try to get with the router bit just on the fretboard itself here, and not cut any more, because what we're doing right now is we're just trying to get the fretboard itself tapered, ready to go, because it'd be a lot easier than once we have all the body here. So that's why we're trying to do this now. So I'm just going to shape this according to the template twice, and then get the radius on the fretboard. But let's do that. So let's get this routed, and again, not too far though, because we've got right about to here on that side, and right about to here on this side. That's where we're gluing in body panels. So we're not quite there yet though. I want to get all this stuff, this shaped, tapered, fretted before we glue the body panels on it. I think it's just going to be a lot easier flow process and following the recipe that directions. All right, let's do it. All right, so here we are, we're in the shack and up on the workbench. See, I got my fret press ready, but before we do any fret work, what I'd like to do is get the fretboard really nice and primed. And by doing that, what I mean is, especially with the ebony, as you can see, we got that pretty smooth. We got it to a 320. I'm going to just scuff it up a little bit to make sure that we didn't miss any spots. And then we're going to oil it up. So let's go ahead and do that real quickly. And for this, I'm just going to use some pads. Now, when it comes to finishing work, 320 is rough, but when it comes to woodworking, 320 is pretty smooth. So it's practically burnished if you go past 320, really. If we start getting into 600 and 800, might as well be burnishing the wood, which actually I like to do with my fretboards. Now, I got everything ready except for the True Oil. Let me grab that. Now, for some of you who could still legally use True Oil, do so. It's really good stuff. For some of you who can't, get it anyway. It's really good stuff. And what I do is I just get it in there, and then I take the scuffing pad and work my way through. Now, right now I've got, it's about a 300 grit scuffing pad. And I'm just blending the ebony dust, which, as you can see, creates a lot of fine dust, with the oil and work it into the grain. And that will just give us a nice smooth surface. And if we do it now, that's less work we have to do later. Because if you do it once you got frets on there, then you got to come around and clean up any little boogers that might occur around the fret edges, which does happen. And you want to make sure that you clean up, otherwise people will tell you all about it when they see your pictures on the internet. I've heard this from somebody anyway. So we've got that going, one layer, and then I like to get some other scuffing pads. Now I'll work my way up to 1500, and you can see I like to use nice pristine brand new scuffing pads for this. We're going to start out with the 600 now. I say start out, we already did a 320, but next is 600. And you don't have to worry about this taking your radius off. You saw how hard it is to put one in. It's just as hard to take it off. And I could see there's a couple areas like this one. We've got those line-up holes that we didn't saw back out yet. And so I'll be doing that before I put the frets in anyway. I've got a guitar to go deliver. Got to ship out. So what I'm going to do is let this rest once I get to the final coat. And if you notice, it's probably counting about 3 or 4 coats already. But I haven't left any of them alone. I've worked them all in, and that's my plan. That's how I like to do it. So now I'm working up to, I think this one's going to be about an 800. And if you can get your pads, scuff pads, get them from a wood shop, you know, whatever your local woodworking shop, a lot of wood turners, lathe guys, they have really good pad assortments. Try to get them a different color. That way you could tell from the moment you look at it what shape it is, because they come marked and inked up, but that wears off very quickly. So if you get them different color, even if the colors are very close together, I could still tell you this is the 1500. Now I'm rubbing in just what was still on the rag, and you can see I use a high-end, very well made rag that I think this one was, oh, it was a Hanes. Once was a sock. Okay, so we're gonna let that one sit just for a little bit, not too long, because we are trying to make this go quickly for a reason, and it's not just because I'm in a hurry, because you definitely don't want to rush your work itself. Notice I'm going back over this spot. It's a little rough spot. Oh, all the wonderful noises of a Saturday afternoon. Okay, so I'm just going to now that I've let those set, except for that spot, so we'll go back over the 1500 here real quickly. And notice I'm changing my pressure. I start out with a heavy pressure to work it in, and then I just take it nice and lightly to buff it off. And you'll see what that does, that actually improves the shine level. And the slicker it is, the better. Because then, like I said, again, I won't have to bring any product over it once I'm done with the frets, other than, you know, I wipe it down with a little baby oil. And that's about it. Okay, so done there. Let me put one more last little coat. Go deliver that guitar, come back, and this will probably be it for this episode. I mean, I'm trying not to give you guys, you know, 12 hours worth of video to watch. I mean, that gets crazy, and you know, I'm not a professor giving you an assignment. I'm just trying to entertain you, show you a little bit how we make these guitars, show you, see what the quality you're going to be getting. And for those of you who like doing this stuff yourself, showing you a little bit, hey, if I could do it, you can too. That's the gist of it. There's a lot of stuff you can go buy that's worth just buying, but there are a lot of things that, you know, if you think you can make it, chances are you can, because somebody did. So why couldn't you? Right? Okay, so again, see the little rough spots there? Let me just work the grits, get that cleaned up, come back, boom, done. It's so easy. If you just, like right now, I've got the afternoon sun coming in, I've got the barn doors open, and I could just see little imperfections that I couldn't see looking straight down. So I'll give it an angle and I could see those things. And then I just come back and fix them. I mean, they're very little because we've already done most of the work. Now we're just doing the details. And you notice I'm doing little swirls and then straight lines, because you want most of you're going to scratch. That's just given. But if your scratches go the same direction as your grain, they're not as noticeable. But sometimes to work them out, you got to go in little circles, work them out, and then blend them in. It's just the same stuff that shop teachers used to scream at us kids all the time. Sand in the direction of the grain. Okay, so there we go. We got that. Like I said, I got to go deliver that guitar to the shipping store. So let me go do that while these set. And you can see, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. So that is going to sit, and when I come back, I'm going to hit it with a dry towel, not this rag, and it will just buff right up and it'll look real nice and shiny. And then I'll slot the grooves. Well, that'll be next episode. So again, thanks for tuning in to Dude Craft Guitars. Tune in to the next one. We are going to get the frets set. We're going to get the side marker dots going, and we're going to get some wings on this thing. We're gonna make it shape like the final product here pretty soon. And that'll be on the next episode, and then see how far along we get. Maybe we can get into the sealer coat layer on that one. You know, like I said, I don't want to make these videos too long for you guys, but I do want them to be educational and entertaining all at the same time. Please leave comments. Let me know if that's being achieved, or if you have suggestions on how we could better achieve that for you. Make this thing even better, more gooder, and grow together. All right? Thanks again. Take care.